Okay, so I've been playing the hell out of Enshrouded, like lots and lots of time into this game over the past few weeks, and I find it is only eating more and more into that sweet little free time that I actually have. I finally got free of Path of Exile 2, and then this damn game shows up with its update. Anyway, this is the 6 best reasons why you should be playing Enshrouded in 2025. First and foremost, the best feature of this game is the exploration in the open world. Now, in contrast to other games, this is not randomly generated as you are going through here. Each playthrough has roughly the same layout. While this may sound like a negative, this plays into Enshrouded's strong point, which is their handcrafted world. Legitimately, I put in about 40 hours into this game and I've only seen about a quarter of this map. That is huge. This game is massive, ridiculously massive. Each time I'm wandering through the map, I find a reason to stop, check out a point of interest. Maybe there's something that catches my eye, or a flame beacon, or something, just little things that allow me to go off and have a brief exploration adventure. Now, with most of these areas, they tend to be tied to a quest or simply a little spot for you to check out the devs flexing their world building capabilities. But in some cases, you find a new dungeon or a puzzle or a brand new enemy like this absolute psychopath. I'm not gonna lie, I absolutely cheesed the fight against this dude because he was blasting me like hardcore. And no, I will not apologize for my word choice. In these travels of just checking things out, you not only progress the game forward, but you are also at the liberty to take the game at your own pace. While yes, the main quests guide you in a certain direction for the most part, you can simply just go off and do your own thing and take on challenges as you go. I seriously find the ADD in my brain running rampant as I just want to explore each one of these little houses and find out if there's any good items or what is there out in the wild. Point is, prepare to be distracted because getting lost in this world is seriously one of its greatest features. Next, I would talk to you about possibly the least needed feature in this game, but by God, it is another one that I have lost about 10 of those 40 hours, and that is building. As a note, for the most part, building elaborate houses, towns, villas, what have you, is absolutely not necessary for the progress of the story and the development of your game. While yes, it does have its benefits, of course, mainly the well-rested buff, which allows you to regen stamina faster, and the buff lasts longer the more that your house has comfort from items tied to it. Basically, the more tchotchkes that you have, the more physically fit you are. I don't know how that works, but... And it does have some elements, like the crafters that you find, the townsfolk that you find, do require to have a bed and some kind of roof over their head. They need some type of shelter, but it really can just be 4 walls and a roof. I played Enshrouded for about like 10 hours building this massive stone tower that's just jutting out of a mountaintop. Was it cool? Abso-frickin-lutely. Was it necessary? About as necessary as the extra 15 throw pillars your wife keeps on your bed. And even in my time, I haven't delved into all of the wonderful features of the building, like unlocking higher tier blocks, unique frames, wood designs, doors, different locations to build. There's so much more that I haven't even touched yet. The crafters that you go through the main story by collecting and essentially setting up at your home base offer more custom items for you to play with. The building system in this game, however, is very, very detailed for a feature that isn't super necessary. The placing and movement of your blocks and creations can be boiled down to almost pinpoint accuracy. But even if you are a block off, you can simply go back into block movements and remove any of those loose edges off of any shape that you make. Not to mention that you could literally build just about anywhere in this world, except for in the shroud, not near enemies, only on flat surfaces if you have the flame spot for it and if you've explored that area. Other than that, total freedom. But it allows you to really have these crazy complex builds, and you can build nearly anywhere in the game. Not much of a planner? You can actually simply set down your fire location near one of the pre-built buildings or the ruins in that area and start working from there. Literally repairing the ruins and making them into your home, which is honestly such a damn good touch, especially if you want to restore one of these cool building architects that they already have, or if you don't really have the brain capacity to think about some kind of complex build. I implore you, definitely check out some of these crazy builds that are in this game that the people are putting into YouTube because they really pour their heart and soul into it, and it's amazing. One of the reasons I really got into the game was the combat and enemy design. With so many other things willing to kill you in this game, like hunger, shroud, gas fog, or even being too wet or forgetting to turn on your glider right before you land. Why wouldn't the enemies be a challenge as well? Now, it's not 100% to say that the enemies are all difficult, as you technically can scale the difficulty of the mobs back and forth when creating your world, which I'll talk about next. The combat in this game has improved drastically, with nearly every single patch adding something to the element of this combat as it goes through early access. One of my favorite new features is the parry system, which technically isn't super new. It has been out for several months, and this is simply where an enemy goes into swing and you can block at the right moment and it builds up a stun on them. If the stun bar fills up to max, then they are stunned for a short duration, allowing for extra attacks or even a merciless attack, which deals massive damage. But that one you gotta trait into your build. In the most recent patch, what they have done is highlighted when you need to block as the enemy is going through their strike, making it a lot easier for you to identify when to put up your shield. The parry system feels very, very similar to that of Elden Ring's parry system. By timing your blocks, you can get in a major attack, and even in their most recent patch, Pact of Flames, they made it easier to identify when you need to parry and put up the block at the right time. This isn't even mentioning all the ranged combat, the ranged archery combat, the wands, the staff. I mean, all these can be weaved together on a single character. You don't have to have your upfront melee combat. You can use ranged weaponry to defend yourself. Basically, you have the option to change your combat almost at will to fit whatever type of build you are wishing to play at any time. All the while you are dodging and weaving and attacking through hordes of enemies. Now, my current playthrough, I am on the hard difficulty, where there are more mobs, they hit harder, and they have more HP. So it really is a big challenge when I find myself bobbing and weaving back and forth, landing attacks when there's 15 different enemies that are trying to attack me all at the same time. This doesn't even cover the tab targeting or the dodge rolling that has been implemented into the game, which are just really great touches. Now, I would be lying to you if I said that the combat style is immensely in-depth or overtly difficult, but there is something about this kind of combat loop that really makes me enjoy the game and how the world and everything else flows together. This is a more recent add to the game, but the custom world feature adds so much needed customization for players, and it's something that they would expect out of a game like this. Basically, the game has multiple different presets that allow you to quickly hop onto an adventure that is specific to you, like the relaxed difficulty, which is perfect for builders as you can simply create anything you want in a passive world. You can manipulate the materials so that they drop more often, the enemies don't attack you, and you can just explore as you want. The default difficulty is how the game was upon launch, about even. And then they have the hard difficulty, which takes it up a notch, as I mentioned, increasing mob aggression, mob attack frequency, and then of course the damage that they do. And then there is survival. What's unique about survival is that your health is not only reduced, you get very little experience, everything hits incredibly hard, and basically you drop all loot upon death. And then you have to track your food consumption because you can also starve if you are not careful. If you want more of a custom approach or custom game that you want to create, you can go and create a custom match which has a whole bunch of different preset sliders allowing you to change the game into what you want it to be. If you want to have a ton of mob density, you can bump that up. If you want to have more HP, you can change that. If you want to have the frequency of resources dropping, you can change that as well. There's so much customization that's just tied even into this game mode that it really makes it a lot of fun because then you can really create some wacky things. In my most recent playthrough, I've been playing on the hard difficulty, which has been a bit challenging as I've decided to go a melee-oriented build, forcing me to deal with multiple hard-hitting enemies and managing them over a very short period of time. I mean, I even tried the hollow halls, which seems to be like a good level progression. I thought I was in the right place, but only for me to find that I had my face pushed in with how hard these damn creatures hit. Seriously, whatever these little bone doggos were, they were absolutely chunking my HP. I hate it, and I love it, I guess, if that makes sense. Honestly, having the flexibility in this regard really makes it for a rewarding experience for the player, and I mean that in the best way possible. Now, if they ever got around to creating a true creative mode, I think that this game would explode like crazy, think like Minecraft, but picking the world of how you wish it to be is actually a very nice touch. Now, as mentioned, this game is under early access, and it has been for just about over a year. And it looks this damn good already. Like, legitimately, all the items that I've listed already and talked about have been implemented and put into the game before the 1.0 release, which is absolutely wild. Think about that for a minute. Games release all the time in early access, and a lot of times they look like absolute crap, with few notable exceptions. There's things missing, the game isn't polished, it's bare bones of gameplay, clearly showing off what the game will be, but there's really just a structure there, a skeleton there. Enshrouded is in early access and will be until the 1.0 release later this year. At least that's what's been scheduled or at least talked about. The level of polish and the level of detail in this game is unheard of, especially for it being in early access. and it really provides a fantastic framework for the game to launch forward. Now, I'd be lying if there weren't a couple of issues, or exploits, I should say, that I have utilized to kind of cheat the game, like shooting a target with arrows when they're out of reach of me in melee, or perhaps even while the enemy's swinging, just simply sidestepping it because they get animation locked, and getting extra backstab hits. I mean, it kind of removes the luster of the game, I'll be honest. That's just some minor critiques. I've also only ever been stuck once in this game, but thankfully I was able to use my mining pick to like dig my way out, and then I was good to go. Everything was fine. I believe in many regards, this is what inspires the most hope for me for this game, and that it will eventually grow bigger, is just how well it is doing so far in early access, and the amount of time and effort that devs have put into this game, and it's not even at their 1.0. When they get to 1.0 and beyond, I have high hopes for this game. If all of these reasons haven't won you over, then I should simply say this: take everything that I have said about this game, and then bring your best friends along for the ride. Well, I play mostly solo, so solo Caff Dad? Well, you get to choose. The game is literally built on the idea of group play. I mean, they even have talents and traits that allow you to reduce group damage, allow for you to heal group allies, and a whole bunch of different co-op elements that really make this game perfect for a few friends of yours to go and explore. But if you're like me and you really only like to play on your own time and by yourself, it is fully solo capable, which is just a perfect touch. Already in an in-depth and diverse game. Personally, I like the challenge of overcoming these obstacles on my own time and getting my own loot and building my character all on my own and fighting off enemies with my own skill. Sure, it takes a bit longer, and yes, it does have some crappy interactions like being overwhelmed by 50 enemies at once, but it seriously has everything you need to play solo or even with some friends. Even if you're on the same server, if your buddy progresses without you, you can jump back and play through the quests that you missed to catch up, so no one is truly left behind, despite your friend being kind of an ass. And they've also released proximity and global chat that allows you to voice interact with everyone on the server, which that is a wonderful touch. That helps out the co-op so much better. I mean, I can already think of quite a few challenge runs that you could do in this game, like a hardcore run or a no weapons run, only staff run. I mean, like, the ideas are pretty crazy, but being able to play co-op in a game of this magnitude and having it being encouraged is absolutely huge. Now, that is my thoughts of this game. I personally have been loving Enshrouded, and I recently talked about my new player experience, and you can see that video here. Otherwise, stay caffeinated, folks.